All right. Hey, everyone. Mark here. Mark P Markets. Thank you for joining me for another Bitcoin video analysis. Interesting stuff going on here. So we have a few things to talk about. All right. So if you're new here, welcome. Let me explain to you how this works real quick. So first, I'm going to run through the economic calendar. Okay. Not going to spend a whole lot of time on that. Then we're going to talk about this Bitcoin situation. Okay. And we're going to talk about what to look for now that this thing again has made new all-time highs. And it's like, okay, so where's this thing going to stop? It blew through a pretty important area here, and I want to talk about that. I also want to talk about what this thing can look like over the next few days. Okay, so I titled this Top or Pop, all right, and what the ADK scenario can look like. So we'll take a look at that. All right, so, and also, hey, Stian is here, cool. Also, if we have some time, we'll take a look at a trade scanner trade. All right, I put a link in the description if you're interested in saving 20% off the yearly trade scanner subscriptions. Okay, there's a link in the description. I also put a link in the chat here. Check that out. I am streaming here on TradingView, so let me just pull this over. I haven't gotten any errors, so I guess I'm over there today. Okay, cool. All right, so guys, welcome. Let me just get this thing started here. So this is for educational purposes only. For investment advice, please consult a licensed investment advisor. All right. Now, let me make my chart bigger. Okay. And actually, let's go over, I have to go over the economic calendar first. So actually, we don't need the big chart yet. Before I get into that, if you notice in the description here on YouTube, there are some affiliate links, okay, for MEXC and Bybit. Those are affiliate links for Stian. So if you open an account and fund an account and place trades at Bybit or MEXC, Stian gets a small piece of the action, which goes a long way in helping him support the community. He's done an excellent job setting up all the technology that we have. And we have a project. I asked my members just the other day to vote on a project, which one they'd like us to work on first. And the feedback that I got was people wanted a trade scanner script. So who do you think is going to help me put that together, right? So by supporting him, you get these cool features, all right? So anyway, more about that once we have some things on the timeline that we can talk about. Anyway, so good to see you, Stian. All right, we got Fardell Savili. All right, if I pronounce your name wrong, I'm sorry. Okay, cool. And on TradingView, if you guys are listening to me over there, if you can't see me, just press the refresh button. That usually solves the problem. Okay, so real quick, let's talk about the economic calendar. Now, guys, I like to ask you sometimes if you've been checking it, and I like to see the feedback that I get from you. So what do you guys think is important this week on the economic calendar? Anything? Please share it in the chat. Because really, I could sit here, look at the calendar, and I can tell you guys, but the lesson sticks more when you actually look at the economic calendar and see it for yourself, right? I mean, I could show it here, but, TradingView has an economic calendar, but I like to run through this exercise because you should be picking out the items. You should know the items that are worth looking at on the economic calendar. Every week, it's the same thing. Like each month, week 1, 2, 3, and 4, it's pretty much like the same thing every month. So anyone want to say anything? Sometimes there's nothing worth talking about on the economic calendar, although you'll see a bunch of items on there. This is why I run through this exercise, because you should know what's important and what's not. So anyone want to chime in? Hey, Pariah, good to see you. Anyone want to chime in on that economic calendar? Who's looking at it? Real quick, I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on this because we have a lot of Bitcoin stuff to talk about here. Anything? By the way, CPI. Thank you, Christos. Anyone else? When is the CPI coming out? Can you give us a time, a day and a time? And that's for the US, I'm assuming, right? It's usually, the CPI report usually comes out like the second week of every month. And it's usually like Tuesday, I believe. Am I correct? And it's usually 8:30 a.m. Eastern time. By the way, there's a time zone change here. So I don't know, I guess other parts of the world, you get the time zone change too, I would imagine. But now we're on daylight savings time. So I'm on UTC -4 now. Okay, it was -5. Now it's -4. That may throw some people off in other countries. Just letting you know. Okay, so right now my time is just after 3 o'clock. So CPI, is that US? And can you give me a timestamp on that? 13:30 Brussels time. Okay, thanks, Christos. So that's 8:30 Eastern time, 8:30 a.m. my time. That's when the CPI report. Now, the CPI is probably the next most important report next to non-farm payrolls and an FOMC meeting. So be aware, you're not going to trade the report, but you want to see the outcome, how the markets behave as a result of the report, and also how the day closes as a result of the report, because it may start out 1 minute one way, right? And for the first hour, it may be rallying, for example. And then by the close of the day, you have a red day. And you're like, well, I don't understand. So don't try to interpret the news. Let the market do that for you and wait for the close of the day to really determine the kind of effect. Now, if you're an intraday trader, you're not going to wait till the close of the day. You have plenty of things to do, but you just want to not get caught or get in the way of that report. That's the whole point. Anything else this week? Thanks, Christos. Okay. GMT +1 in Brussels. Okay. Anything else worth mentioning? CPI is a big one. Anything else? You'll notice on these economic calendars, there's all kinds of reports, like European, producer price nonsense and all these other things. They don't mean anything. They're not, well, it's not that they don't mean anything, but they're not global market movers. That's what you need to know. They're not major dollar movers, right? But CPI is, non-farm payrolls is, and an FOMC meeting is. The only other reports that are worth keeping an eye on are bank, interest rate decisions from other banks, other global banks, but they still don't have a major effect on the dollar like some of these, like the FOMC. Okay, does that make sense? All right, let's move on. I don't want to bore you people, but you should realize that you want to pay attention to these things each week. All right, let's move on to this chart, shall we? And let's talk about this Bitcoin situation. Now, earlier today, in my member chat for my subscribers, I sent out a note and I talked about this level right here. I also wrote my TradingView article yesterday and I pointed out this level as well. Okay. Now you can see the arrow here on my chart. On the TradingView article, I referred, this pullback over here was basically the ideal scenario, which we never got. And that was from this zone. This zone is what I call a high probability reversal zone. It doesn't mean that the market will reverse in this zone. It just means if it's going to, this is a great spot for it to do that. It's also known as a fake out, right? So when you get a situation where price just blows through the zone and we are where we are right now, like this, the zone isn't even there. Okay, there's no reversal, clearly. The only other exception in those situations is if it reverses, like it makes it right to the top of the zone and then reverses, right? But this is clearly blown through. Now, the market hasn't closed yet, right? So this scenario is now a lower probability, the pullback, because we've blown through. The chart that I featured earlier to my members was this hourly chart. And this is what I want to point out. I want to show you what I was looking at the time. That was like at 9 a.m. Okay. This is what I was looking at right here. This is what I saw at the time. And we had this bearish engulfing candle developing and it was about to close. Now, if this thing was going to fail or fake out, it should have faked out after that bearish engulfing candle. And you should have had a candle that looked like that pulled back into this old resistance, new support area. Do you see that? But the market chose another scenario, right? I don't know what the market's going to do. I don't pretend to know the future. I'm just looking at probabilities. And then it's up to the market to decide which way it wants to go. And then you have to listen to the market, not me. Okay. Now, I was saying, watch this bearish engulfing, because if it takes out these lows, you can see a pullback, at least intraday. And that was the point of the message, right? An intraday pullback to the 70,500 area. That would be ideal, right? We never even got the pullback. The next candle, just, party time. and this thing is just straight up bullish, okay? You even got a bearish pin bar over here that got eaten up. You even got these little continuation pattern inside bars, all of this on the hourly. I mean, this thing is strong. So with this thing blown through the zone, right? This was the reversal zone. I mean, look at the price action inside the reversal zone. I mean, there's nothing bearish about that. That was a straight line, right? So when you have a situation like this, this is the point that I want to make. And this fake out doesn't follow through, then you should be looking for longs intraday, because this thing is likely to continue higher. And here it is. It's continuing higher. Even right now, there's a buy signal at 72,687, right? That's where it was. And we're now at 72,799. When you're working on this thing intraday, you're not looking for thousands of points. But if you can get away with a few hundred points here and there, like that would be ideal, right? In these situations. Because I mean, look at this. You had this bearish pin bar, and if that followed through and you were long, okay, and that thing followed through, price can easily get back to here. Now, understand that while this is very strong, it's best to day trade, because otherwise you can get caught in one of these situations. Okay, see this back here? This was the other day when we made the new high the first time, right? And we had this 10,000 point move, right? What was the low of this move here? Was that the 63? Yeah, 59. What? 59,313. Okay, this thing went from 69,210 to 59,313 in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hours. In 5 hours. That's how easy it is for this thing to clean through all the people buying below it. All right, so understand that the risk is very high, and that was the point of my article. The risk is extremely high at these levels, and if there's a pullback, you don't want to get caught in it. Okay, this big bearish candle here was that candle. We've recovered nicely ever since. Probably a lot of shorts got into this thing, right? Figuring this thing was going to pull back now, and now it's just relentless bull. Okay, so we're through this level. My point is, as we continue to push higher, the risk increases, right? When this thing does pull back, it's probably not going to be pleasant. It's probably going to be steep. Okay, there's a lot of levels. I mean, this thing can pull back all through this in that square that I just drew there. That would all be a very reasonable pullback, and that pullback can take a couple of days, whatever. But when is it going to come? I have no clue. Okay, it usually comes when there's some kind of surprise news. All right, so that's the risk. But let's talk about the reward, right? Because that's what everyone wants to hear anyway, and everyone thinks they're going to get rich tomorrow. Not you. I'm just saying there's a lot of people out there that sell this fake promise of, now things are just getting started. Buy the altcoins, you're going to be rich, blah, 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 blah. Please don't be sucked into that. All right. So let's go to a weekly chart, because we are basically an uncharted area here. Okay. These were the previous highs, and we're through it, right? So we have new all-time highs, which again, when we look at this magnitude, okay, this is the weekly. When we look at this magnitude, it means that this entire area, the zone is going to be wide. I don't know what the zone is exactly. I'd have to measure it, but it's going to be something like that. Okay, maybe a little smaller. It's going to be something like this. Okay, that same fake out zone that I showed you on the hourly exists on the bigger picture as well, but it's bigger, right? It's a larger magnitude, which means that this thing can fail anywhere inside of here, which means this thing can easily touch 80K. What is that? Yeah, 80K, which happens to be a whole number. And usually that's where, if there's going to be a resistance at this point, because there's no history now to go by, you have to look at the whole numbers. So I would be eyeing 75K and 80K as your resistance levels now. Okay, I mean, I could use a fib extension, but you don't need to be that complex, right? All you have to do is look at the whole numbers. Those are your levels. They're psychological levels, right? That's all you need. I mean, the fib extension, I'd have to do a bunch of measurements, and then you have to look at the 1618 and all that stuff, and the 2618, and they probably will coincidentally line up, but it's really just simplify, okay? Look at the whole numbers. So this is the zone you have to be careful of. This is why I keep iterating. If you're going to participate in this, these are not levels to invest. These are levels to day trade or swing trade. Okay. Those are lower risk strategies, because if you're wrong, you're not exposed to all of this. Right. And that's what you're trying to avoid here, because it can just turn out of nowhere. What you want to watch for, and I talked about this the week before as well, what you want to watch for is this type of activity on your weekly chart. Okay. These type of candles. We have nothing at all like this right now. So momentum is clearly bullish, but it doesn't mean it can't turn tomorrow. Okay. I mean, a week ago when I was going over this, the next day it pulled back 10,000 points. Was I able to forecast that it was going to pull back 10,000 points? No. But that can just come out of nowhere. That's the point. Markets are highly random. Okay. I don't even know why it pulled back 10,000 points, but that's what it can do. So anywhere in this zone, so between where we are now, 72K and 80K, something like that can happen. And this is what it will look like on your weekly chart. We don't have it there. We have the whole week. We have to see how this week closes. We have to see how next week closes. But I would not be surprised to see red candles developing like this, over the next few weeks inside of this zone. That's the probability. Like I put, one of the points that I made in my TradingView article was, if you knew that there was an 80% chance that this thing's going to pull back and only a 20% chance that this thing was going to continue, which side would you take? Okay. And I know some people would take that 20% chance, but you have to realize that over time, that's not going to work out very well. It may work out one or two times, right? 2 out of 10 times, but how do you know which time is going to be which? If it works this time, what's going to happen is it's going to reinforce the negative behavior, and you're going to try it again next time, and you're eventually going to get caught. That's how it works, right? So it's better to lean on the side of the greater probability, even if it doesn't play out exactly, right? So that's the point here. So this thing can work its way up to 80K. Let's go back to our 1440. This thing could work its way up to 80K. It can do it, right? This zone was blown away. I mean, look at the comparison, right? This was the mini reversal zone, and this is the large magnitude one, okay? I mean, look at that. So it blew through the mini, and now it basically exposes you to the big one. Can this thing get through this? I mean, that's a possibility, but I believe that's a low probability, and I will always say that at highs, okay? I will never say that at lows. I will always say that at highs. And we are at all-time highs. At some point, this thing's going to find a peak. Don't get caught. That's all I'm saying. Don't get caught. If you've invested and you took a chance at lower prices, great. The market has rewarded you for bad behavior, and you should be taking something off the table. Like if you bought at like 65K or whatever, and you're like, oh, I can't take it anymore, I'm buying it, and you bought it and you got through this pullback, and now you're nicely green, don't hesitate to take something off the table, okay? If you believe that this thing is going to go straight to 100K, you're taking a big chance. I don't want to have a closed mind. Anything is possible, but I believe that the probability is low, and it's certainly not likely to go in a straight line, okay? It's not going to do this, okay? Chances are it's not going to do that. So please keep that in mind. The longer you stay in it, the more risk you take. I said this at the previous highs, and I'll always say it at highs. All right, so that's pretty much my point there. So it's exciting to see. It's great. Now, I'll tell you one thing that confuses me about this is we have all of this excitement, all the new highs, blah, 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 but I don't see a lot of follow-up on the retail side. I don't see, I don't see a lot of interest coming into this. I remember over the preview when we were touching this in 21, there was a lot of interest. I mean, but back then we were running another website, right, Greenbridge or whatever, and we were getting all kinds of interest and people signing up and this and that. I don't see that this time around. So I don't know. Either you guys don't like what I'm doing, you don't like my products, or this is not a retail rally. Okay, I don't know. I'm still trying to figure that one out. Anyway. So let me look at your questions here. Currently, Bitcoin ETF buyers, 10 times more every day than miners are mining. Okay. Party isn't over. It looks like, right. No, the party isn't over. The CPI is the core price index. I think it stands for. You can Google that. It's an inflationary report. I forget the what it actually stands for. It's an inflationary report, and it's an important piece of information that the Federal Reserve uses to gauge inflation, and that's going to affect how they determine interest rates. That's why the CPI is so important. Interest from retail is going to come in about a year when Bitcoin. Yeah, okay. Well, I don't agree with that. I mean, maybe at the absolute top, that's usually when they come in. But what I'm saying is when we had the top previously, right, on the monthly chart, when we had this top, back in 21 over here, when was this? The peak, basically December of 21, January of 22, there was a lot of interest back in those times. I guess people also had more money. I don't know. But here we are, right? We've had this amazing rally, and the environment's not the same. So it's strange. Also, interest rates don't make much sense to me either, right? One of the arguments that I was making about this rally, the probability of this rally being low, was we need low rates, right? Because low rates create a lot of money for people to do things with. So where was that money coming from? This is the bond futures on the monthly chart. Okay. I mean, let's go to a weekly chart. As you can see, interest rates, right? As bond prices go lower, rates rise. So low interest rates are here, right? High interest rates are here. We still generally have a higher interest rate environment. The Fed hasn't signaled lower rates yet. I mean, they've been hesitating here and there, but we don't have anything clear from them. We don't exactly have a friendly rate environment, and Bitcoin is doing this. That's strange. Okay. I mean, strong rates also mean what? We should have a stronger dollar. This is the dollar index, right? This dollar index is not exactly weak. I mean, it's not doing anything. We had this rally, right, to this peak here. We have a higher low consolidation. And the dollar, although it looks weak at the moment, this is just a consolidation. It doesn't really mean anything, okay? It's a higher low. So this is likely at this point to perhaps break out, something like that. Stronger dollar is generally not good for things like gold and Bitcoin. So, okay, fair enough. Dollar hasn't been doing a whole lot, but it's not exactly weak either, okay? Only on the very short term it's weak. So it's not really convincing. So economically, this Bitcoin move is obviously being driven by something else, okay? And maybe it's all that ETF nonsense or whatever, which I don't know. That's not exactly that just seems very synthetic to me. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. Anyway, so but see, I don't let those long-term opinions and all that economic stuff get in the way. If this thing wants to go higher, it wants to go higher, right? I don't want to get in its way. As you know, I don't short Bitcoin. I certainly don't short the spot. If I'm going to short Bitcoin, it would be the futures, okay? And it would be only as day trades. I would not short it for any other reason. And at this moment, there's just no reason to short it at all. I mean, we can look at the hourly again. I mean, and this thing is just vertical, like on all time frames. So it's getting a little tired now. We could see a small pullback in this thing, but until it breaks a major support, this thing just wants to continue, right? That's really all we can say. And this thing can continue, like I said, inside of this zone until it finds a real resistance and until the buyer stops buying, right? Because I don't know if retail is behind this. I mean, maybe they're starting to get in now, but I don't know. It's very unusual, this situation to me. Okay, so let me see. You guys have any questions? Let's go back to the 1440. I mean, altcoins have started to come along with this. And if you have an altcoin from a lower price, you should probably take advantage of this and at least take some money off the table. Maybe not the whole thing, but take something off the table. Lock in some profits if you have profits, because this is a very unusual situation. Now, let me see what's going on over here on TradingView. Anyone paying attention to me? Oh, I got people over here. Okay, hold on, guys. Sorry. I haven't looked over here in a while because usually no one's talking to me over there. Let me see what's going on. Hold on. Okay, cool. I have been busy, but I watch your streams. Okay, since we have a new high, what is your... Okay, so I explained that. All right, cool. Can you look at XRP? Okay, hold on. I'm just looking at... Okay. Tight stop loss. All right, I'm just looking at... Okay, cool. All right, I'm just catching up there. All right. Good to see people over there on TradingView. All right, so yeah, the halving, that's another thing. A lot of talk of that, and this could be, I suspect this could be buy the rumor, sell the news, with this Bitcoin halving thing. So when the halving actually happens, maybe this thing loses its motivation. I don't know, but that's not an unusual thing. Okay. The other thing is the wave count, right? I was pretty sure that we had the 5 waves complete, especially when I saw the 10,000 point pullback. Okay, but now what is this? So this could be a wave 5 extension. Wave counts are not precise, so that's why I don't get married to them. I'm just, if I can count 5 waves, and I still can, this is the 5th of the 5th, and there's an extension here, which means this thing can persist somewhat longer. But usually wave 5s mean potential is limited. That's usually what it means. All right. So, I mean, I guess there can always be an exception, but whenever I see a wave 5 and we're at a high, for the long term is not something that's, in my playbook. I'm looking for, pullbacks at that point. And like I said, when we get the big pullback, it's going to be big. It's probably, and actually, let's just go back to the monthly again. Okay. A healthy, when I say pullback, I'm just talking about a normal healthy pullback, not a bearish trend. Okay, a normal healthy pullback is like in this entire range right here, right? That's your pullback range. That's normal and healthy. That's not a bear market. That's just a retrace. Okay, a bear market, it'd have to like take all that out and start pushing these lows. Like it'd have to be really ugly. That's not likely. That's not a very likely scenario. Okay, we have nothing even close to that type of scenario right now. There's no structure in the chart. We don't have a failed high. We don't have a lower high. We don't have anything. Okay, we don't have supports being broken. So I would not bet too much on those extreme bear scenarios, but a normal pullback is very reasonable. Okay, I mean, real quick, a normal pullback, like I said, that's you're looking at like 51K would be like the bottom of this area right here. Okay, 51K. It's hard to believe that it can go back there, but that's a reasonable level based on this proportion. Okay, so I just want to point those things out. When can it get there? No idea. All right, no idea. A lot of times when you get a corrective wave and something like that, a lot of times it pulls back to the previous wave 4, right, area, wave 3, wave 4. That's usually where it pulls back to a lot of times in an extreme instance, and that's 53K on this chart. This is the 53K area right there. All right, makes sense? Okay, so I'm talking a lot about wave counts here. I'm talking a lot about these scenarios. Any questions? Are you guys comfortable with day trades? Also, I see quite a few people watching me here today. I usually don't get this many, so welcome everyone who might be new here. Make sure you check the links in the description. Make sure that you follow me on YouTube. Press the like button. Press the subscribe button. I do these every Monday, and I'm looking to stream more as well. I'm working on stuff, but if you just give me some time, I'll eventually get there. Check the links in the description. If you want to save 20% on the trade scanner for the yearly subscription, it's still available. There's a link in the description, takes you to the page, and you can get access to that. Okay, and save 20%. That equates to like $100 on the regular packages. All right, now let me do this. Dollar franc, real quick, and I'll answer some questions. So dollar franc, this thing was called the other day. Steen, do you have the trade on this thing? The trade scanner calls coins, it calls forex pairs, it calls stocks. Right, it just depends on what you're interested in. And this thing called a long on Friday on the dollar franc. Okay. Do we have the trade on that? You're comfortable with day trades. Okay, cool. That's why the script is the next project that I want to work on, because we can use it for day trades, and I can illustrate it on here because it'll be a trading view script that we could put on the chart. Okay, which would be really cool. Let me see here. Oh, Savi from Brooklyn. In 4 hours, we will see if your bullish scenario realizes. It's good to see you, Savi from Brooklyn. Steen, are you there? Do you have the trade? Let's see if we have the trade. Or maybe someone else who has access to it. Tino from Mexico, ¿cómo estás? Mucho gusto. Now, how do you say good to see you? I don't know how to say good to see you. Verte is to see you. Buen verte? Would that how I say it in Spanish? Okay. I know I try to practice my Spanish. Mi español es mal. Yo sé solamente palabras malas. Okay. Anyway, is Steve in there? I guess he's not there. All right. I wanted to show this trade. I wanted to show the dollar franc trade. Oh, there it is. Thank you, Steen. Thank you. All right. This is the dollar franc trade. You see this? The trade scanner called this, right? And people, when they wonder why the trade scanner has been slow, like with the coins and stuff, is because if there's no signals, if the market doesn't pull back, there are no signals. The trade scanner looks for pullbacks. And if the market barely pulls back on this time frame, you get nothing, right? So that's why I'm working on a way so that you could see the smaller time frames and you can see these pullbacks. Bitcoin there would have been a lot of opportunities on the smaller time frames if we were able to see them. Okay, so the entry. So let's start with the stop loss real quick. 87.21. I got to show this to you because the key to this is the management, right? So 87.21. Where are we here? 87.35. 87.21 is here. That's the stop loss. Okay. Now these orders are given to you obviously in advance when the trade is sent to you by the email. So 87.68 is the entry. That's around here, right? It's right around here. 87.68 is right about here. Right? That's 87.68. That's the entry. And then the take profit is obviously, this thing's nowhere near the take profit, is 88.39. That's like up here somewhere. 88.39. That's like way up here. That's the trade. Okay. That's the trade that was called by the trade scanner. Obviously, it's still in play and it's green right now. Okay. You have a little green. And let me ask you guys a quick question that have been following this for a while. This was called on Friday. At one point today, this thing was worth what? 87.94. Okay. So that thing was worth a little something, right? Not much, but maybe 30 pips there. Something that little less than 30 pips. And now we have this. Anyone want to comment on this? Anyone want to say anything about this? Because the whole key to the trade scanner is how you manage the trade after you're in. The value of the trade scanner is it does all of this work for you. You don't have to figure out where to get in and where to get out, right? It's giving you that in advance. You just have to manage the trade. And a lot of times it may call for an earlier exit, but you have to make that decision. Okay. Right now we have the functionality where the trade scanner will actually generate a trailing stop and a break-even stop. And it actually will notify you on that. And it usually requires a 1-to-1 reward risk. In this case, 1-to-1 would be like up here somewhere. So it never got there, right? So this trade is not even break even yet. Or it's not on the automated side. It's not break even yet, right? So what would you do here? Anyone want to chime in on this? Anyone? Gusto en verte. Thank you. See, I learned some Spanish today. Gusto en verte. Good to see you. I knew verte. I knew that one. Just I was saying bueno. Okay. Sir, please analyze gold. Okay. All right, we'll take a look at gold. But real quick, I just want to get an answer on this. Right? Take a look at this. I saw something about XRP too. Someone wanted to see XRP? We could take a look at XRP. The ETFs make Bit available as a source of security. Also, gold. Gold has been out of control. Gold has been. I mentioned gold on February 16th. I think it was the 16th or the 18th. I sent a note out to my members and I talked about gold at 1950 as a possible long. Unbelievable. Okay, close the trade and move to break even. Steen says, close the trade or move to break even. So here's the thing. You have a conflicting signal. It's an inside bar. The candle hasn't closed yet. You have a bearish pin bar right here. If you see this price action in something that should be showing you bullish momentum, because this was a bullish trade, it's a momentum system, and you see this, that's not what you should see, right? So Steen is correct. Either move your stop to break even if you want to give it a chance, which makes it a risk-free trade. So this would be moved to here, maybe plus a pip to cover your cost. All right, so that's one option. The other option is you get out now, okay, and you take a few pips profit. Like what is that? 10 pips, 9 pip profit, something like that, and then you're out. Yeah, like 9 pips. At least it's profit. It's positive. Okay, it's not much, but it's better than taking a stop. Right? Does that make sense? That's how you use this thing. It's a great tool, especially if you're new because you're learning. The key to learning is through management. Not, everyone's looking for like the perfect entry, the perfect exit, all that kind of stuff. That's not what this game is about. Markets are highly random. So you have to basically minimize. If you're focused on minimizing your risk, that is what gets results. Minimizing risk and managing risk, not trying to get in at the bottom and sell at the top with the largest position possible, which is what, people, that's the dream thing to do, right? People want to turn $1,000 into $100,000 in a month. And people tell them that, sure, that's possible. It's not possible. It's not possible. If you want to make money, if you want to make like serious money, $1,000 a day, $2,000 a day, you have to have a large account to begin with. Okay. That's just the honest truth. You know what? People asked for feedback the other day, right? In my community, about what I could be doing wrong as far as, whatever. You know what they told me? They said, I don't lie. They said, you don't lie enough. I don't lie enough, they said, okay? Because my competitors, that's all they do. They sell dreams. Anyway, all right, so that's dollar franc. I know people aren't interested in this. Let's go back to Bitcoin. Let's go back to XRP, and let's take a look at gold real quick, okay? XAU USD. So if you have any questions about the trade scanner, send me a message or just check the links in the description. You could save 20%, on the yearly, right? And if you don't want to do that, you can just do the monthly. Try the monthly. All right. Gold. This is gold. This is nuts. Now, there's some very important things about gold. Usually when gold goes nuts like this, right? All the gold people come out and, it's going to 5,000. Well, this time it might, okay? And the reason why I'm saying that, not 5,000, that's an exaggeration. The reason why I'm saying that, this thing may touch 3,000. Where are we at right now? 2195. We're almost at 2,200, right? We may touch 3,000 because this is a major breakout on gold. This was a multi-year consolidation, and we've blown through it. And I mean, look at this. This is solid. I mean, this is the monthly, so we still have, a couple of weeks to go before this candle closes. But man, that's a pretty good start. Let's take a look at the weekly. I mean, look at that. Right? That's a serious breakout. When it does that and it sustains it and doesn't pull back, like if over the next few weeks this thing pulls back and it's back in here, then it's a fake out. If it does not pull back, or if it pulls back a little bit and doesn't go back inside of the consolidation, that means we have a breakout. And if we have a breakout on gold, it can go to 3,000. It can go to 2,500. Like, it can get very irrational. There's no way to know. The best thing to do in those scenarios, again, use whole numbers, okay? Use whole numbers. So 2,200, 2,300, 2,400, those are psychological levels. 3,000 is a big one because that's like a major psychological level, right? But this break is pretty significant, right? So one thing I would not do is short gold. Do not short this thing. Look for pullbacks. Look for pullbacks in smaller time frames. Your next support on gold is going to be this old resistance. That's a pretty heavy duty. It was a pretty heavy duty resistance, right? That's 2062, like basically the 2050 area, 2100 area, right? That would be a good area to look for support. Also, I want to point this out. Notice this little, like, it touched the resistance, and then what does it do? It lingers. You see that? That lingering right there? That's a sign of strength. I point this out all the time. When you see this, right, like a little triangle situation like this, and it's not breaking any supports, like this would have been your support. This would have been one support right here, okay? The bottom of the triangle would be another support. Not taking those levels out, this thing is strong, and then you get the squeeze. Okay, so this thing is on its way right now. That's all I can say. Look for consolidations on smaller time frames. Let me take this dollar franc off. Look for consolidations on smaller time frames and continuations until this thing turns. Okay, now on the weekly, you're looking for like a weekly pin bar or something if you're going to get a major turn. Right now, we have nothing. Look at this bearish pin bar on the daily, right? When it touched that high originally, and then never went much lower. Pulled back a little bit. Okay. When I wrote my article, I think it was like around here. February. No, that's November. No, this is where it was. I wrote an article for my community. It was like right here. And I said, this is a long area. Okay. But I had no idea it was going to do this. Anyway, that's gold. All right. Let's take a quick look at XRP. I had a request here for XRP. Okay. XRP is like inverted H%. I don't know what you're saying there. XRP USD. Not sure. I don't understand your question. Okay, XRP. So some of these alts are going to be going crazy, right? Before I go into XRP, let's just take a look at like something like Matic real quick. XRP is one of the nice. XRP is one of the coins that the trade scanner looks at. Let's go back. Let's go to the weekly chart. Now, okay, so look at this. And this is a concern for altcoin people. I know a lot of people are stuck in these things, and now these things are coming back. Use this, like I said, as an opportunity. Bitcoin is making all-time highs, right? Now, here's a monthly XRP, right? Monthly. Where's the all-time high on XRP? It's all the way over here, unless that's a bad tick. It's all the way over there. $3.29. Okay, that's the all-time high, which was made in December of 17, and we have been nowhere near it since. We're still nowhere near it. Okay, we have a secondary high over here. That was the peak in 21, right? That was when Bitcoin peaked at 69K. We're nowhere near it. We haven't even broken this high over here. Okay, so when you see a situation like this, these altcoins, there's no money going into this, right? Bitcoin is getting all the money. So maybe there's a lag. I don't know. But all I'm saying is, if this thing can push into this area, right, don't hesitate to take something off the table. If you want to give it a chance, you want to give some of it a chance, hold on to some, but don't hesitate. Take a little off the table, reduce your risk, because these things should be doing better relative to where Bitcoin is. All right. I mean, let's take a look at another one. Like something like XMR, right? Remember that one? Monero. I mean, come on, look at this. All right, look at the monthly. This is the monthly. This is horrendous. This thing should be doing better, don't you think? We're stuck in a consolidation. This thing can't even get out of its own way. That's not to me, that's not a broad rally. Okay, how's Litecoin doing? Let's take a look at Litecoin real quick. Okay, it's trying to perk up a bit, but look at the highs where Litecoin used to be. Okay, relative when Bitcoin, back when it used to follow Bitcoin a little more closely, and look at it now. So it's trying to come along, but it's got so much resistance ahead of it. What's going to get these things going? So all I'm saying is, you have interest rates working against you. Where's all this money going to come from? They're going to do a Litecoin ETF? I mean, really. So just be careful. If you have money in these things, use this as an opportunity to reduce your risk. That's all I can say about these, right? Because they should be doing much better when Bitcoin is doing this. The leader. Okay, what happens when the leader pulls back? What are those things going to do? They're going to rally? Okay, they should be going nuts now. Where is retail? Right? They're trying, but it's just not there. It's all the magic is here. Does that make sense? So that's just an observation. I would suggest be careful. Take something off the table so you're reducing your risk at highs, which is where you should be reducing your risk. Not when it pulls back or goes back to zero, right? I mean, You want to reduce your risk at highs, and you want to buy into weakness when the weakness comes. There's no weakness right now. So you shouldn't be buying aggressively, in my opinion, unless it's a day trade and you're going to be in and you're going to be out in a few minutes. You're not going to hold on to this thing more than a day. Then you can aggressively buy. But otherwise, it's a bad idea because the chances of getting caught are high. I know it's hard to believe right now because this thing refuses to pull back, but trust me, it happens. Just look at a chart. It happens. These things don't move in vertical lines. Okay. South African analysts show rising channel to 24. Okay. Many reasons and podcasts will take a while for gold. Yeah. Don't listen. You got to be careful with like internet stuff. I know. Yeah. I'm part of the internet stuff too, but don't go by other people's, oh, it's going to go here. It's going to do that. It's going to do this. Be careful with that because everyone, it's the herd mentality. And everyone says, they all say the same things. And then the correction comes out of nowhere. So the train of thought that you want to have is when you're at highs, you reduce risk. When you're at lows, you add risk for assets that have real value. Okay. Like if you do that with something that's pure garbage, right? Something like some kind of garbage coin, like a meme coin, and you buy at lows, it can go to zero. But Bitcoin, while going to zero is a possibility, it's an extremely remote possibility. Chances are it's not going to go to zero. So when it has a steep pullback, that's an opportunity to buy something of value at lower prices, right? Or like a really good stock. But you don't want to do that with a penny stock. It can go to zero. Does that make sense? No, Alex, time zone change. Time zone change. So I started at 3 o'clock my time or whatever. It's just I'm on UTC -4 now instead of -5. There was a time zone change. Okay, I'm gonna some altcoins. Oh, cool. Yeah, we started. Oh, thanks, Alex. Alex is now running an altcoin channel on my server because he's been tracking them. He especially tracks all of these unusual altcoins, and he's been doing a really good job with that. Do you want to mention one right now? Can we take a look at one? And he's basically nice enough to share his altcoin portfolio and his altcoin plans. But again, that's available to all members, right? Well, the premium members, active investors. That's who that's available to. Okay, RNDR. Let's take a quick look. Right, so he's been really on top of these for a while. RNDR. Oh man. Okay, that's the monthly. Let's take a look at a daily. I mean, it's a vertical line. So this is RNDR. Wow, that's a nice looking. I mean, you can easily see the waves here. Okay, I mean, 1, 2. That's wave 2. This is wave 3. Right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3. This is wave 4. This pullback, and this is 5. That's pretty clear to see, right? And now it's hesitating a bit, but this would be a great example to watch how a 5-wave structure, how the corrective wave follows. There's clearly 5 waves here. So continuing to buy this now, and Alex knows this, would be a really bad idea, right? You're looking for a corrective wave. A corrective wave can take it back to here over the next few weeks, possibly. I would imagine Bitcoin would have to do something similar if this thing is following Bitcoin. Oh, Binance has more data. Okay, let's take a look. Binance. Let's go look at the monthly. Okay, not a whole lot more, but wow. So I mean, the wave count is still the same, right? This whole thing right here on the 1440. I mean, it's still the same idea, right? That doesn't change. Let's just look back. What does this look like all the way back here? Right. So it just started out bad and then formed this. I mean, look at this. This is a wave 1. This is a wave 2, right? Actually, this whole section, right? This is wave 1 of 3, 2, 3. I guess you could say 3, 4, 5 of 3. Then you have your 4, right? This pullback inside of here is 4, and then this is 5, right? So the count doesn't really change. Wave counts could be confusing at times, but the idea is you want to find 4 waves or 5 waves. Those are the only waves you should be interested in. Trying to find 1, 2, and 3, That can be very confusing and hard to do. But a 4-wave configuration takes time for the market to put together, right? So those usually imply that there's one more wave to go on that side of the trend. And then once that one more wave comes along, wave 5, that means a correction is likely to happen next. That's how you use that. Doesn't mean you take trades on it or you place big bets on it. It's just it helps you have a sense of a roadmap, what's likely to happen next, so that you don't do things like buy the top. Okay, when you know that most likely what's going to happen next is a broader correction. If you're buying up at the top, hopefully it's a day trade. Okay, and you're in and out and you're not exposed to the broader move. Does that make sense, you guys? Thanks for sharing that, Alex. Yeah, so Alex is sharing his altcoin portfolio ideas on a channel in our server, right? So if you're interested in that, let me know. He also gives a lot of information in the community chat as well. There's a link in the description. The community chat is free. Okay, you had to be in early on all to have security buffer. Right, this is, yeah, it's hard. Well, it's hard. It's hard to do, right? You have to buy when things look horrible and all the news is negative, right? That's usually when you have to buy. And it's usually not like the first news report. It's usually for some time, like these things have been doing bad. It could be a couple of months. It could be a couple of quarters, right? These things have just been doing bad. And that's when you have to accumulate a little at a time. It's not easy because especially if you put all your money into one project and it happens to be a really, really risky one, it can go to zero. So that's why it's, if you're going to do that, you should do it with assets that have more, that are more established, like an XRP, like a Litecoin, like Ethereum, something like that. A Matic, they're more established. They're the higher cap coins. But if you're buying like PP coin, you get what you pay for. That can go to zero. Okay, because it has no value. It's just a meme coin. I think people have seen the BTC halving has value even if it dumps 50 to 50K. Right. Well, so yeah, Bitcoin, yeah. Bitcoin is obviously the leader of the entire space. So if Bitcoin has any extreme pullbacks, those are where you really want to accumulate some if you're trying to play that game. But there's no scenario in sight right now. If we're going to have an extreme pullback, you're probably not going to see one for, another 6 months. At this rate, whatever catalyst is keeping this going is still going. So that would have to stop first, whatever that is. Okay. My average price is between 1.5 and 20. Okay, cool. And $2. I think the other coins just like, okay. So you guys have any questions? Let me just look back at the chat here real quick. Ethereum. Steen wants to see Ethereum real quick. Okay, hold on. So Steen, I'll take a look at that. By the way, again, if you're new, welcome. Check the links in the description. And if you want to save 20% on the yearly trade scanner, there's a link there. Check that out, please. Okay, Ethereum. So actually, I can pull that up over here. Where's my Ethereum? I'll pull it up. You know why I'm doing this so long is because I see a lot of people. I see almost 100 people. I never, I usually don't get this many. So I'll stick around a little longer if I see people that are interested. So thank you, everyone, for taking the time here and watching a bit. I never get 100 people. So Ethereum. Wow, look at this. Let's go to the monthly. Interestingly enough, look, Ethereum is right behind Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin's at the new highs. Ethereum's on its way. This is what your altcoins should be doing. They should look more like this, not what XMR looks like, okay? That's something that's relatively weak. This thing, while it's not making new highs, it's certainly behaving better than a lot of the coins. Wow, this thing's at 4,000, over 4,000. So in a situation like this, again, everything that I said about Bitcoin, you have to treat this thing the same way. Look at this. This thing is just, this is like a stupid move, right? I call that a stupid move because you can be completely stupid and just buy and you get a reward. There's no pullback. So you have a little pullback over here, little bit of a pullback there, but there's really not much pulling. This rewards bad behavior because you could buy at any price, barely pulls back, making money, right? But it's normally not that easy. So if we go to the weekly, wow, I mean, what a move. There's just no pullbacks. Okay, there's nothing. So the first you say, okay, so what next? What do you do here? Well, look for your supports. This is going to be your support zone right here. See that? That's going to be your zone. So if there's going to be any pullback, this would be the ideal location to be waiting for. Now, it can be very hard to wait for a pullback. It also coincides with these levels back here very nicely. Look at that, right? So that would be your first support would be here, okay, which is 3284. So you could say 33 even area, 3250 area, right? This zone, that's your first pullback zone when this thing really pulls back, right? Not those little blips that we saw on the daily time frame. Does that make sense? But wow, what a move. I mean, and again, it's just following Bitcoin. Look at the move going into that. I mean, you had an outside bar, right? You have these bearish pin bars, takes out the low of those pin bars, and then reverses and goes long. That's day trade activity right there, right? If we take a look at a 15-minute and see what this price action looks like on a 15-minute, right? With all that moving, look at this. Look at the type of price action you have in here, right? Look at this bullish pin bar. Look at this bullish pin bar, which actually never became active. It took a little time for that one. What do you have over here? Look at this tiny little pin bar. I mean, I got to make this, it's so little. Look at this. I mean, that's all day trade action right there. If you were like involved with the futures contracts, that's really where you'd be able to take advantage of something like that. Okay. And of course, you're not going to capture this entire move. Maybe with a trailing stop, an automated trailing stop like we have set up. I'd have to see what the trailing stop would look like on something like that. But the trailing stop is also a big factor when you have markets like this, right? The trailing stop would have captured the Bitcoin, more of the Bitcoin move. The trade scanner called Bitcoin long, I think it was on 218, I think it was. And that was at like 50K, I forget the price. It got out at 53K and we missed, 18,000 points. But with the trailing stop, that thing was more likely to capture more of the move. Not the whole move, because when it was fooling around a bit and pulling back, like that 10,000 point pullback, that would have been tapped out, no question. That would have been tapped right out. Okay, cool. All right, so that answer your question here on Ethereum. Cool. Any other questions, you guys? So again, make sure you check out Market Signals Pro. The link is in the description. There's a 1-week free trial on the monthly memberships. You get access to the trade scanner, plus a whole bunch of other things, not just the trade scanner. And that thing sends you an email every time there's a signal. Okay. Now they're swing trades. They're not day trades. They're swing trades. So it operates on a larger time frame. I'm working on the day trade solution, right? But Steen and I have to work on this. It's going to take a little time, but it's on the list of, it's our next project. Okay. Steen just finished the trailing stop and the break-even stop. He just finished that. So now we can work on this new thing. Anyway, any questions? By the way, active investors get, whenever we come out with like a new product, active investors just automatically get it. But the other memberships, like they may not automatically get it. But the active investor gets everything that we do. That's one of the benefits. Okay. Anyway, and we have student meetings too every month, and there's a whole archive of them in the server. So any questions about this Bitcoin situation? If you guys are looking for day trades, this is what I'm going to leave you with. Go to a 5-minute chart. Okay. Go to a 5-minute chart. Here, let me just make this so we can see it. There's a lot of opportunities on the intraday time frame when you're dealing with something like this. You have breakouts, like consolidation breakouts like this. Of course, look, we could see this after the fact. And these breakouts are the hardest to deal with, in my opinion, because they fail a lot. But this is, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give you a little tip here on what you can look for here. Let me just clean this up a bit so we can make more sense of this. When you're dealing with this on an intraday time frame, there's two things you want to do, right? Identify trend. That's pretty easy. This thing's bullish, right? No question on like every time frame. But the next thing you want to do, if the trend is bullish, you're interested in support levels. You're not really interested in resistance levels because resistance levels are likely to break. So you're interested in support levels. Put them on your chart. Okay. Now, this is the hard part. You have to wait. Okay. Here's another support level up here, which broke. You have to wait until a support is tested. And when it is, you have to wait for a confirmation. That's the hardest part when you're looking at day trades. Okay, this is a 5-minute chart, but look at these. There's one. I'm going to count them. 2. I'm not going to count this one over here. 3. Okay. 4. 5, 6, 7. Okay, look at this one. 8. This one hasn't really gone anywhere. So there are 8 trade ideas on this 5-minute chart. Okay. Again, it's after the fact. So we can say, oh, how nice. And all of them were worth something. You're not going to capture huge moves on a 5-minute chart. But, I mean, let's just look at back. What was reasonable over here? Let's just take a look. This was an inside bar situation right here. Wait for the green candle. Takes out the high. Or, look, inside bar following right there. Take out the high, right? 72,114. How high? What was the peak of this? We'll use this number right here. 72,617. Was that 200 points? So you're not going to get the full move. You're not going to get the entire move, right? But if you can get half of it, that's pretty good, right? 125 points, 100 points, something like that over 10, 15, 20 minutes. That's what a day trade looks like. If you look at this after the fact, oh, I was going to hold it all the way up to here, then you're not being realistic. The whole point of putting on day trades is you want high probability outcomes, right? You take the setup, you want the outcome to be positive, and you want a very good chance of getting out green. Doesn't matter how much you make, you just want to come out green. And when you're wrong, you want to take the smallest loss possible. That's how you come out ahead. It's very hard. It's easier said than done. Okay. And when we look at charts after the fact, of course, you can say, oh yeah, right, cool. Yeah. You call that. That was easy. It looks easy after the fact, but while you're in it, it's not. The hardest part when you're in it is determining that you're wrong. And there are times when you have to blow it out right away, because if you don't, then the loss becomes too big. And then you spend the whole time trying to make your money back. Trust me, I've been there many times. Okay. Someone asked about NVIDIA. Oh, how could I miss that? All right. I could do NVIDIA real quick. Do you fib? Yes, I do. In fact, I showed a couple of examples here. But they're secondary. Understand the fibs are secondary. Okay. Oh, cool. You got some Spanish. Mucho gusto escucharte hoy. He listened to me today. Cool. Gracias. De nada. Are you short? Okay. Are you asking me? No, I'm not short BTC. Do you look at stocks too? Yeah. Oh, there's the NVIDIA question. Okay. Well, yeah, sure. I look at stocks, and so does a trade scanner. And if you take a look at how many people, real quick question. How many people look at the results page on our website, Market Signals Pro? How many people? There's a results page. Steven spent a lot of time putting these tables together. And when the trade scanner closes a trade, it puts the trade on the results page for every asset class. We have trade of the week. Trade of the week's been doing pretty good, right? We have like 4 weeks or 3 weeks in a row of green trades. That trade of the week is free. Everyone has access to that. And all the asset classes, right? The stocks, the coins, the Forex, there's a page, results page. Maybe Steve, you want to share the link in the channel here? How many people check that page? I'm just curious. Because there's some valuable information there. You can take the losing trades, because there's plenty of losing trades. You can take those and you can actually put them on your chart, look on a smaller time frame, see if that trade was worth anything, and then you can see often that there was a conflicting signal And if you practice that enough, I do that with the replay on here, right? I've done that with students. If you practice that enough, then you learn how to manage these trades and get out earlier, like that dollar franc trade I showed earlier, right? Managing the trade, getting out earlier if it's giving you a hard time. So let's talk about NVIDIA real quick. This is NVIDIA. Someone just asked about this. All right, so this is the daily chart. I mean, let's look back a bit. This thing has been ridiculous too. Let's go to the monthly. This is the monthly. I mean, look at this. Can we see wave counts here? That's what I look for on these bigger pictures. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is probably what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, this is a fifth of the fifth wave on NVIDIA. What's the high on this thing? 974, and we have a monthly pin bar developing. Okay, let's take a look at the weekly chart. It probably looks worse on there. Look at that. So the previous week gave us a bearish pin bar. This thing is at risk of pulling back significantly. Okay, there's 5 waves that have been completed. You have a bearish pin bar on the weekly. You have to take out the low of the pin bar. 834.17 is the low of the pin bar. If you take that out this week, or maybe next week, like maybe this thing fools around and gives you an inside bar this week and then takes it out, you can be then in pullback mode. Pullback mode can take you back to here at minimum, right? That's a very easy pullback area. It doesn't mean bear market. It just means pullback, retrace, healthy retrace. That's one high probability location for a retrace, right? That's basically the 50% of this recent movement. The low of that, let's see, what is that, 662? So that puts you like in the 650 area, something like that, 300 points lower. That is not a forecast. That is the risk that you take. So people that are long, people that are just getting long now, no, I'm in NVIDIA, this thing is a no-brainer, it can pull back 300 points. And that would be normal, right? It can also pull back to this old resistance area, this old new support, which is 505. So what typically happens in these situations, right? Of course, that will require a catalyst of some kind. What typically happens if you get the pullback is a lot of people start getting long in this area because they figure, oh, it's going to keep going. And all these longs get banged out or they get margined out. And that's what usually makes for a more dramatic move, okay? Also, when you're dealing with something like NVIDIA, I know with the whole AI hype and all that other nonsense, right? This is back to the daily chart. I mean, this is a bearish engulfing candle. So this could be the beginning of a broader pullback, right? And that can also affect the NASDAQ, right? Which has been somewhat weak. It's been getting weaker. See that double top on the NASDAQ? So keep that in mind. When this thing pulls back, it pulls back, right? It can be ugly. Your first support in the NASDAQ, actually it's sitting there now. The next support on the NASDAQ is 17,605, right? That's this area right there. That's a very reasonable pullback. I mean, sure, this is a bullish trend, but you know, look at this. Look at the pin bar on the NASDAQ on the monthly. Look at that, right? Actually, all these, they're all going to look the same because we only have 1 week in on the month, right? So if I go to the weekly here, this is the weekly inside bar. Is that an inside bar? No, it's not an inside bar. It's just a bearish candle. But we have a new candle. We have the whole week for this thing to go. But this thing can easily pull back, right? Which obviously will have an effect on NVIDIA. Okay, or NVIDIA will pull on this thing. Does that make sense, you guys? Can't post. Oh, you can't put the link in the chat? Oh, okay. Sorry about that, Steen. All right, you guys clear on that? You guys clear? All right. So let's go back to Bitcoin here. So you guys clear? I covered a lot of stuff today. All right, we went over Bitcoin. Guys, check the links in the description, right? If you're interested in the trade scanner. The results page, Steen was going to put that. Just go to Market Signals Pro and click on results, right? It's at the top. No one looks at the results page. I see no one answered me. Do you use stop losses? Yeah, I use stop losses. I use stop losses on day trades and swing trades. Investing is another story. Stop losses are very hard to use when you invest because you need a lot of room. And you're also trying to dollar cost average when you invest. It's not the same type of game. Stop losses for day trades and swing trades are essential. You have to use them. Okay, because otherwise your risk is too high. You open up to larger magnitude risk. All right, if I missed your question, hold on. What is your question here? I don't day trade. Bottom fish to infinity. Okay. I'm looking back. I don't see your question. What was your question? Do you use stop losses? Right. Okay, I answered that one. All right. I think I got most of the questions here. Okay, people, look, if I don't see any other questions, type your question in again if I missed it. Are you guys clear on this? So you guys tell me real quick, what do you expect on Bitcoin? From what we went over here, what are you expecting over the next few days? I'm just curious. See if any of my perspective has rubbed off on you. And remember, every week I write my TradingView article. It's on TradingView. I share it on my Twitter as well. Check that out because I put a lot of my observations that I go over here again. There's a lot of them are in that article if you like to read. If you don't like to read, then you can wait for my stream on Monday. Plus 100%. Okay. We'll go to 70K. That's what they're expecting. That's what you guys are saying over there. Okay, so you guys looking for pullback. He's looking for pullback. Okay. Anyone else? Don't be shy. Anyone else? Like, what do you guys think? We'll go to 70K, then 76K. Okay. Anyone else? Anyone on YouTube want to chime in? And so you guys aren't checking the results page. Steen, you put all that effort in and no one checks the page. Check the results page, people. There's a valuable exercise you could do there. Right? And you can see all the green trades, all the red trades. Pull up a trade on your chart like I was doing with Dollar Frank earlier. I am holding a short position. You're short? My entry point is very low, but I want to close with little loss. You're short Bitcoin? And my entry point is very low. What do you mean very low? Shouldn't it be high? But I want to close with little loss. I don't know. If you're short, this is all I can tell you. Go to a smaller time frame, like a 30-minute. Okay. I don't know where you're short from. This thing is trying to pull back. This type of price action is typically when it kind of consolidates, but on its way higher like that, that's typically bearish. All right. But here's the thing. You have to look at your next support. All right. Your next support is here. Right. And that's around what, 69K, 70K. That's a very reasonable support. So if you're looking to get out and reduce your loss, if you have a loss, I don't know where you're short from. That's one place to do it. But I mean, the chances of this thing pulling back to 50K, I mean, that while that's a possibility, it's not something that's likely to happen anytime soon. Now, I'm not a believer in this thing can go in straight lines, but you have to understand when these markets get irrational, they can do wild things. This thing can go to 75K first and then pull back. Do you want to get caught in that? If I was short, I would not want to get caught in that. That's me. Okay. It's hard to believe, but it can happen. I mean, look, it pulled back 10K over here, and now here we are at new highs. The reason why we're probably at new highs is because a lot of people probably got short in that 10K thinking, okay, Bitcoin has topped, and then they all get squeezed. That's a very common thing. Okay. And now this thing, it's in a reversal zone, as I pointed out earlier, but there's no sign of reversal. So this thing can test, it's possible that it can test 80K before it reverses. The key here is to wait for a confirmation. There's nothing. We don't have a pin bar on the daily. We don't have an inside bar. We have nothing. We just have a strong candle. So if you want more confidence as far as the short, then what you need to see like tomorrow is this, like a bearish engulfing. If you see that, then chances are this thing is going to pull back in a bigger way. You know, maybe back to like 65 something, maybe 68 something, you know, maybe something like that. Okay. If you get the bearish engulfing, if you don't get the bearish engulfing, right, or bearish pin bar, and the next candle looks like this, I mean, this thing can climb to 80K. Like I said, it may get a little noisy on the way there, but when people get irrational and things get out of control, it can happen, right? And that's usually when it looks its greatest. It squeezes out all the shorts. That's usually when the top puts itself in, okay? But again, I can't forecast the top. I have no idea where it is. I just suspect that, you know, we're in an area where probability favors a pullback, but we have no confirmation. All right, make sense? Bitcoin can go to 2 million and then pull back to 400,000. Well, now that's unreasonable. That's not within range. 80 to 90K, I'm anticipating some heavy resistance based on fibs, and then, okay. Yeah, I mean, this thing's blowing through resistances, but you can't get exaggerated. Like 2 million, no. That's like Bitcoin. That's the same as saying Bitcoin going to zero first, right? That's out of range. But 80K is within range. 75, 80, 73, whatever, 74. Those are all numbers that are in range. So it can get there, especially around those whole numbers, and then that could be it. All right. Again, we have a reversal zone. That's where I get that from. I don't just like randomly make up these numbers. There is a zone over here, and that zone basically borders 80K, right? That's a proportional thing. So, and when it blows through these zones, then only then would I believe that we can go higher. Okay. Just like the hourly one that I shared earlier. That's the same as saying Bitcoin could go to 20K in, well, not really. I mean, there's no way to know, right? But the thing is, you have to look at what's within proportion. 10,000 points from here, this thing could do 10,000 points in a few hours. So it's within reason. But doing, 50,000 points in a few days is not likely, especially that since this thing has run what, 30,000 points since the bottom of this move? The bottom of this move was like in the 40,000s area. And this thing is up like 30,000 points, and it took a few months. This started like back in November, right? Look where we were in November, 35,000-ish, right? And then beginning of the year, we were at like 41,000-ish. We're now in the third month. It took 3 months for this thing to move 30,000 points, and it gives back 10,000 in just a few hours. Think about that. So it's about proportions. Okay. As I've said, BTC, Microsoft's market cap would be 150K, and Microsoft is the highest market cap stock. Right. So yeah, you have to consider that. All right, cool, guys. I'm talking a lot. Let me just see what you guys are saying on TradingView. I had 20K at 7, but sold at 30K. Go figure. Okay. Oh, you weren't a fool. You took profit. Nothing wrong with taking profit. You're never going to sell the top. I know it's hard to say, oh, this thing's up, 30, 40,000 points higher than when you sold it, but that's going to happen. I mean, it's going to happen. There'll be pullbacks. When you hold on and you think you're going to get the home run, usually you get caught. So nothing wrong with taking profit, right? You're never going to buy the bottom. You're never going to sell the top. That's just the way it is. So don't beat yourself up for that. Okay, cool. All right, you guys, I don't see any other questions. If I missed your question, I apologize. Anything else here? So again, if you haven't seen the links in the description, check the links. You can save 20% if you check out the YouTube link. I put the link in there on the description. Save 20% on the yearly. If you want to do monthly, there's a savings there too. You can click the link there as well. Okay. And like I said, check out the results page, because there's a lot of value there. Not only do you see how the trade scanner performs over time, but you can take those trades, right? You could take those, they're closed. You can put them on your chart, and you can see if those trades, even the red ones, if they were green at some point. If they were green before they got stopped out, that means you had some possibilities of either getting out for break even or maybe getting out for a small win before the thing stopped out. Of course, there will be some that go straight to the stop. That's the market. Markets are mostly random. They're highly random. Okay. But it's a great management exercise, especially if you look at your 4-hour chart, because you can see, oh, the conflicting signal. There it is. just like I showed you on dollar franc. There it is, get out. And now you save yourself a stop out. Okay. And when you have a winner, some of these winners, they go straight to the take profit. So there's not much effort required there. You just let it go, do its thing. And with the trailing stop, now you can unload half your position. And then if it runs, you can capture more, right? That's how you get these bigger moves. The idea is to keep your risk smaller and to try to let your winners run to a point, but you're never going to get the top. So you have to get that. If greed is a big problem for you, that's not something I can help you with. Okay. I know greed drives a lot of decision making. I mean, it's what makes the market, but it's those people that know how to control their greed. It's people that are aware and can control their behavior and understand that the consistency comes from capturing average movements, not unusual movements. Unusual movements are rare. The home runs, the lottery tickets, that's what everyone was after. And by chasing that, you never make any money. And that's particularly important when you're looking at day trades and swing trades. Investing, again, is another story. I know a lot of people want investing stuff. That's why Alex is doing that channel. But I'm not really talking about investing here. I'm talking about day trades and swing trades. Okay. There's a lot of opportunity on those smaller time frames as well. It's just you have to be very in control of your risk. And part of that is being in control of your greed, because that's where it all starts. Okay. I remember 69K and everyone thought 100K was right. Everyone was calling Bitcoin is going to go to 100K by in next month. They were saying nonsense like that. I remember that clearly. And Bitcoin went to 20K. Okay. So I was warning people. There's videos. If you go back on the YouTube channel, there's videos from me back then warning people about 69K, just like I'm warning people about this now. Okay. Anyway. All right, you guys, again, thanks for sticking around. I stream every Monday. I also I'm trying to do some more impromptu streams during the week and stuff like that. So stick around for that. All right. If I missed your question, I apologize. Just come back on Monday and you can ask me then. All right. So everyone, enjoy the rest of your day, the rest of your evening, wherever you are in the world. All right. And thank you for watching.